May 22nd, 2014. Dr. Terry Reese has just been elected as the Grand Knight of the Laguna Councils of the Knights of Columbus in Elk Grove, California, USA. His tenure as Grand Knight would begin in a few short weeks. He is alone, sitting on the patio of his home overlooking his garden. He is praying, asking for God's guidance on what his priorities should be in the leading the council for the next year and into the future. He listens for God's response. He hears the morning breeze gently blowing, the birds singing in the trees. He hears the far-off traffic on the highway some 2.5 miles away. He hears the children playing in the park a mere block away. And he hears a voice. You should be working in Africa. Africa? He's never even been to Africa. Where in Africa? Africa is a huge continent, larger than North America. Can't the voice be more specific? A few days later, Terry is sitting at a recruitment table in the narthex of his parish church, Good Shepherd, fielding questions from prospective new members of the Knights of Columbus. A man comes up and says that he has always wanted to be a knight. His name is David Momo Howard. A simple start to a lasting friendship. Eventually, he tells Terry his life story and the story of his homeland, Sierra Leone, West Africa. And again, above all the noise in the narthex, Terry hears that same voice. You should be working in Africa. Later that summer, the living Reese siblings were going on a vacation trip together. En route to Denver, where brother Christopher lived, Terry and his sister Maureen stayed the night in Flagstaff, Arizona, not far from the Grand Canyon. While eating breakfast, a transcontinental bus pulls into the parking lot, and 60 people disgorge, some going to the McDonald's across the street, some to the Burger King, some to the other small restaurants nearby. One individual got off the bus and walked directly to the restaurant in which the Reeses sat. He came in and asked the host if he could make a special request. He was traveling from Los Angeles and had not a thing to eat since departing some 12 hours earlier. He was craving fried chicken. Could the cook please prepare him some fried chicken for breakfast? This man spoke with an accent that Terry immediately recognized, and it was the same accent that his new friend, David, had. Terry asked the stranger, "Are you from Sierra Leone?" The stranger smiled and asked, "How could you possibly know that? People in the United States don't even know where Sierra Leone is, let alone know what our people sound like." So there they were, out in the middle of nowhere, as if directed by God. Two people from two continents meet. And there was the voice again. You should be working in Africa. God is persistent when he wants something, and he does not let you ignore him. Ask Jonah. Voices that kept saying, you should be working in Africa, meeting strangers in strange places, both of whom are from a small country in West Africa. You should be working in Africa. How could Terry possibly ignore what God was telling him to do? When Terry returned from vacation, he sought out his new friend David, and together they set out on a journey that eventually would lead to the formation of the Order of St. John Paul II and our mission to work in Sierra Leone. Then Maureen had a stroke. While in the intensive care unit at Kaiser South Sacramento Hospital, she had a kind and loving nurse taking care of her. This skilled nurse had a beautiful accent, the same accent that the man in Flagstaff had, the same accent that David has. And yes, she too was from Sierra Leone. Our first task involved getting the Knights of Columbus interested and involved in Africa. Using the Laguna Council as a springboard, the West Africa Initiative began to take form. On September 20th, 2014, we made our first presentation to the Northern California chapter of the Knights, soliciting support for our efforts. Having received their consent, we began talks with high-ranking officers in the Knights of Columbus. Dieudonné Adugo, then state advocate for the District of Columbia, who was involved with Ebola relief efforts in Sierra Leone, and with George Hanna, then Senior Vice President for Fraternal Affairs. We simultaneously started talks with His Excellency Edward Tambot Charles, Archbishop of Freetown, and Most Reverend Charles A.M. Campbell, Bishop of the Bow Diocese. By September 28, 2014, we had helped organize a religious music concert at St. Martin de Porres Parish in Washington, D.C. to support Ebola relief efforts in Sierra Leone. With this momentum, we made a follow-up presentation to the Northern California chapter on November 15, 2014, where we reported that Bishop Campbell had already given his consent to establish the Knights of Columbus in the Bow Diocese. Over the next year, we formed a coherent group that included representatives from various councils across the United States. Mr. Patrick Johnson, representing the faithful at St. Anthony Parish in Freetown, Sierra Leone, and a loose group of men at Benue State University in Makurdi, Nigeria. On November 11, 2015, we had a formal meeting with Mr. Hanna, representing the Supreme Council of the Knights of Columbus. Mr. Hanna told the group that we had permission to establish up to 5 round tables in Africa, and that we had permission to induct African members into the Knights. With that official permission, we were elated and began organizing in earnest the round tables in Sierra Leone and Nigeria. Those efforts came to an abrupt halt, however, on March 29, 2016, when the Supreme Council reversed itself and issued a cease and desist letter telling us to stop our work in Africa. This setback could easily have ended our work in Africa, except God is persistent when He wants something, and He does not let you ignore Him.
Greetings, Africa! Introducing the Order of St. John Paul II.